Hey, 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 beautiful people. Happy Saturday. I am your girl, Coach TaShon, and welcome to another edition of TMR's Messages from Them, the couples edition, you guys. Listen, I am so blessed to have this platform. And again, thank you all so much for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe to the Mailroom 7671 on all major platforms, and so that you can continue to follow us and be updated with these beautiful couples. Listen, I am so blessed to have with me Mr. and Mrs. Simpson. This couple, we actually went to high school with each other, and they just told me it's been 34 years, y'all. Oh my goodness, 34 years since we've been out of high school. I cannot believe, where did the time go? Like literally, where has the time gone by? Oh my goodness. Welcome, you guys. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey everyone.
Thank you.
How are y'all doing?
Doing well. Doing well.
Awesome.
Oh well. Y'all look so amazing. I was trying to find the prom picture, and I know I have all of my, I keep all of my pictures and cards and whatnot, and I think it's in my storage, and I could not get to it. I have not found it, but I just remember your prom pictures. Y'all still look so beautiful as ever,
Thank
and
you.
so forth. Listen, oh my goodness. And I know it's early. You're in the state of what? Cali,
California.
California. I
Yeah.
miss Cali. I miss Cali. I really do. How's the weather there so far?
Blazing hot.
Is it?
We in the they not like us season right now.
Right.
Right.
So listen, it's hot here. It's been storming, and of course it's hot Atlanta. So it's, I guess we'll still, Atlanta weather is unpredictable. Let's put it
Mhm.
like that. So you never know. But hey, no complaints. Listen, 34 years since we've seen each other, honestly,
Yeah.
but we've kept in touch on Facebook. That's the beauty of social media. I love
Yeah.
social media because of things like this. But I thank you all so much for wanting to share your story. Y'all have been married how many years?
28 years.
28 years.
Yes.
That is a blessing. That is a blessing. So shout out to you all. Kudos.
Mhm.
That is a beautiful blessing.
Praise.
Beautiful blessing. So, as I was sharing earlier, God had this project on my mind. And I wasn't going to tell, even though I love marriage and I love relationships, as I am a relationship coach. But, sometimes the marriage thing can be a little tricky, and the world that we're living in now, it's either you're looking at social media and they have all these glamour shot pictures of marriage, and, then you start comparing your marriage and then you start feeling some kind of way.
Sure.
And God has to, had to pull me back, and he's like, no, Trinette, that's not what I want you to focus on. I don't want you to look at that or whatnot. And so what happens is, we start comparing our marriages, and we start comparing our relationships, and we get off focus, we get off task. So God had to put this in my spirit, and he was like, I want you to focus on marriages. He was like, marriage is still a beautiful institution. It is something that he has ordained, and I want you to tell the world how good it is. So I just been blessed to have people who wanted to come on and share their testimonies, share their marital bliss, share the ups and downs, and just keeping it 100, because marriage, y'all, for those that are out there who still want to get marriage is good. It is
Mhm.
good, especially when you have good partners with you. So
Exactly.
listen, we're gonna jump into this thing. Tell us who you are and uh what you do.
Ladies first.
All right. So, like Miss Trinette said, we are James and Celina Simpson, and right now I'm a teacher. I've been teaching for 22 years. You know,
Woo!
22 years. I'm a second grade facilitator, and
Yeah.
we have three beautiful children.
Oh,
They are 29, 26, well,
wow.
about to be 26 next month, and 23 years old. So they're grown, out the house,
Grown children.
empty nesters, beautiful thing, beautiful.
Yeah. Wow. Empty nesters. Oh my God. That's a whole nother topic as well. We're gonna have to talk
Exactly.
about that.
A little bit,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother topic.
Right. What about you, James? How you been?
I'm doing well. I'm James, and yes, we've been married 28 years. We also one key thing, we met in high school. We've
Yeah.
all met in high school, so
Mhm.
we've been pretty much together ever since high
Yeah.
school, through high school and college, and then into we got married very young, of
Yeah.
course. And so I'm an engineer by trade. I work for a large gas supply company, and I'm an equipment expert and business development manager for a large gas supply company. I've been engineering oil and gas business for going on close to 25, 26 years now. Also,
Wow.
hmm and so I've been doing
Awesome.
that. And ever since COVID, I've been working remotely. So that's
Okay.
also another topic,
Yeah. Yeah.
remotely, and that transition through the pandemic is also a topic for marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
Mm-hmm.
marriages didn't make it through the pandemic, so
Yeah.
we have a testimony in that area as well. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
and like she said, we have three beautiful boys. She didn't mention we have a 1-year-old granddaughter also.
Yes.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. Yes, y'all have a lot to talk about to share with us. It's a lot, but
yeah.
it's a blessing though. It's a
hmm
blessing.
And as of
Yeah.
December of last year, all three of them have degrees, college degrees.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Praise
Yeah.
God.
Wow.
hmm
Wow, beautiful blessing.
Yeah.
Listen, so and the reason why I say this is a lot to talk about, because everything that you said, these are chapters in your lives. These are
Exactly.
chapters in marriages.
hmm
And so what happens is, over time I've been, studying, um, we're so gazed and we're so mesmerized by weddings, right? And we're falling in love and whatnot, but we never talk about the marriage,
hmm
and what that looks like. One of my activities that I have in the coaching is a vision.
hmm
It's a dream board experience, and I always tell couples it's good to have that vision for your marriage.
hmm
And so, with you two being out of in meeting in high school, your high school sweethearts,
hmm
did you envision being married? Or was it just like, okay, I love this person. We're in high school, we're dating, but there were other plans. Did you envision being married, or was there other plans?
To each other or just in general?
Just in general,
Mhm.
just in general.
Oh yeah, for sure. I dreamed about being married since I was like 12.
Yeah.
Little family and the kids. And when he came along, he's younger than me. I was a senior,
Okay.
he was a sophomore.
Okay.
I would always say, I am never, ever, never, never, ever gonna date underclassmen. But he was very mature. And so I
Yeah.
saw, potential in him, and it just blossomed from there. Very well spoken. He had a job, he had a car.
Yeah.
His grades were on point. He dressed well, all that.
At 16.
At 16. That at 16. So did you know that you wanted to be married and so forth?
Me also?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, um, in general, yes.
Yeah.
Because definitely had a lot of family members that were married, and also in a lot of family. We had a lot of single mothers also in our families, which also drove me to want to be married. Not have to,
Got you.
you know, see the
Yeah.
struggle that that was. So,
Yeah.
um, and then once we were together, we were together for about 2 years. Um, while as I graduated from high school, and then
Yeah.
when I went away to college, I asked her to marry me over the phone.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He did.
So you knew automatically that you wanted to marry her. No
Yes.
ands, if, buts about it. Because
Hmm.
they say a man knows. They say a
Yes.
man
Yes.
knows.
Yeah.
Wow. So you asked her to marry you over the phone.
Yeah, over the phone. I was young, didn't know anybody, really didn't have anybody to get guidance from in that area. So
Yeah.
I just went for it, just
Yeah.
out of my heart, and I just went for it, and she said yes too.
You're right, right. How did that make you feel, Celina? Like he asked you over the phone. As women, I know for me, I always thought about the whole proposal, the person getting down, the man getting down on a knee in front of all your friends and family.
Yeah.
But you were asked over the phone. So what do you say to that when we have women like, oh, I'm just waiting for the right time and all of this? What do you say to that? How did you feel at that time?
I did not feel some kind of way like disappointed or let
Yeah.
down. It's like he's the love of my life. This is back
Yeah.
in the day without social media and
Mhm.
texting and email. So we would literally write back and forth. And I have
Yeah.
like a stack of letters. That's so
Oh,
gone by the wayside now. So I have
it
a bunch
is.
of letters, and he's just pouring his heart out, and I'm doing the same, going back and forth. So it wasn't a thing like, oh my God,
Yeah.
why did you do that? Why didn't you wait till you came back and all that type of stuff?
Yeah.
No.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I love letters. I tell my husband, he laughs every time. Like if he has to travel, I love putting handwritten notes in his suitcase or whatnot. And he
Hmm.
told me, he said, I've never met anybody who likes letters. I said, well, it hasn't, the art of writing is they say it's lost, but I love the letters and so forth. So you kept all of the notes. Those were our texting.
Yeah.
That's how we were texting. So you kept all of that. And like you said, you didn't think twice about it. You knew that that was the love of your life. And so it was just a yes. So how long afterwards, after you asked her to marry you, how long did y'all stay engaged? Or was it an automatic or you got married?
So that was mm, 3 years after we got married.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So you continue to date, you
Mhm.
continue to develop the relationship. And
Hmm.
so after that, so this is when you're both in college, you're finishing up college and whatnot, and you knew that you were going to get started with your life. How
Right.
was that journey? How was it?
Mm.
Was it scary? Was it a scary beginning? Or you were just like, okay, we're about to take over the world. Let's get married. Let's do this thing. How was that journey?
Okay, so he asked me to marry him in 1993.
Okay.
And we thought about getting married in 95 because we had our first son in 95.
Okay.
I was in my super senior year of college, and we got married. I graduated in April, May, and we got married that July. So our
Okay.
son was a year and a few months when we finally got married in 96.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So then so your lives like literally started as parents as well.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
wasn't, yeah. So it was kind of to go back to your question, was it was terrifying at
Mm,
first, but also
yeah.
exciting at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've had these discussions with our kids that we didn't have a playbook, right? We didn't have
Yeah.
really, didn't know really how to do this thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
we would just kind of go off of how we were raised. We figured we just go
Yeah.
off how we were raised. We turned out okay, so
You're right.
we just started to incorporate those methods of
Yeah.
parenting and lifing, that type of thing. And then
Yeah.
we've made several adjustments and corrections along the way. I
Yeah.
also want to iterate one thing too, that one of the most important things of a successful marriage, in our opinion, especially,
Mm-hmm.
is good, godly premarital counseling.
Woo.
So we didn't,
Say that again. Say that
so
again.
forget about the glamorous proposal. Forget about all that,
Yes.
all that good stuff. Good, godly premarital counseling, good
Mm.
foundation to
Mm-hmm.
start from. Also
Mm-hmm.
helped us kind of overcome some of those fears and
Yeah.
overcome some of those terrifying moments because we had a
Yeah.
solid foundation. We had a
Yeah.
4 week intensive um, counseling, godly counseling from the pastor who married us,
Yeah.
and we kind of just stuck to those values and everything else that we
Yeah.
coupled with everything else that we learned and knew, and also everything based in the Word of God.
So yeah, there
Yeah.
were 4 principles. Go ahead and tell the 4 principles that were touched on.
So the 4 principles were sex, sex, finances, child rearing, and
Mm.
also how to divide household responsibilities.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And
Yeah.
so that carried you all, that, like you said, that was that foundational piece
Mhm.
that you needed.
Right.
I want to jump back into that because what's happening now that I see, we're missing that part. We're missing that piece. Everybody wants to skip over the premarital counseling,
Mm.
and not just premarital counsel, but godly premarital
Exactly.
counseling. And I always tell people there is a difference because
Mhm.
some, and sometimes people just marry people just because they say I'm ordained or whatnot. But when you sit down and you're having that premarital, that godly counsel, you
Mhm.
just said, you broke down, they broke it down for you, your pastor broke it down. You said what? Sex,
Mhm.
the finances, child rearing. How
Yes.
many people actually talk about that,
Mhm. Right.
and what was the last one?
Division of labor in the household.
Who talks about that?
Right.
Really, who talks about, because people are so scared. Oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing. But this is the truth that needs to be told in marriages,
Right.
right?
Especially young people, especially as a
Yeah.
couple. And one thing is a trend right now, going back to speaking of social media, that people are just going to the justice of the peace and getting married and then having this big old party and to follow and
Yeah.
just missing the core of it really.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. I remember my a lot of friends who were not invited to the this wedding, and they were like, well, I didn't get an invite. And I said, well, it's not because I did not want to invite you, but this time around God had to show me he needed me to be surrounded by godly people, and
Mm.
and people who were going to continue to be in
Mhm.
our circle, who were going to pray and whatnot. And that was something that our pastor had taught to us about,
Mhm.
having that circle of prayer warriors or whatnot. And
Mhm.
so you're right, people just skip over that. We have the parties, we go
Mhm.
to whomever, and we don't touch bases on. And so then when things happen, we're both looking at each other like, okay. But it's like, if you had the proper premarital counseling,
Yeah.
the godly, then you would have had that resource and that tool
Right.
to go to. So
Exactly.
these principles that that were taught to you, what were your first initial thoughts of that? Because again, you're young, you're now new parents, and you're like, oh, I got this, we got this. It's gonna be easy. Did you
Mhm.
think marriage was gonna be easy?
No,
Mhm.
Okay.
I didn't feel that way. I didn't think it was gonna be like super difficult because my
Yeah.
parents, they were married for a really long time before my dad
Yeah.
passed. So I saw that godly example because I was raised in the church
Yeah.
from young, and I thought it was necessary. I knew it was
Yeah.
necessary
Right.
in
Yeah.
order to be on the right footing moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
We pretty much soaked it up like a sponge. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't, buck at it or, rebel against any of what we were taught. We
Yeah.
soaked it up like a sponge. Um, we knew it wasn't going to be easy, but definitely having those tools in place
Yeah.
really helped us navigate through some difficult times, especially early
Yeah.
on. Early on,
Yeah.
we were, didn't have a lot of money, didn't,
Yeah.
yeah, finances was a topic, but you got to have finances to manage.
Right. Right. Right.
So a lot of
Why?
those. Yeah.
Why is that topic so difficult for
Mm.
us to talk about, especially in marriages? Like, why is that one of those taboo conversations, do you think? Why
I
is
think
that?
I know nowadays it's about, and I have these arguments with my male friends.
Yeah.
Our money, we keep all of our money in the same pot, right? And
Yeah.
that's that old school. Now finding out it's an old school way of doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, this is my money. I got my separate bank account. Blah blah blah. And then
Yeah.
they manage their money separately. But the idea is that you're one now, right? And
Mm,
that means what's yours is mine, what's mine is yours.
yeah.
There's no separation of powers here.
Mm.
Everything is one.
Yeah.
And if you have that concept in the beginning, it
Mm-hmm.
just makes things easier to manage or to
Yeah.
handle decisions and that type of things. Really
Mm-hmm.
much easier to do. Now,
Mm-hmm.
going back to your question, why is it so difficult? Because I think it's just that people nowadays, especially, just say, "Hey, this is mine." Especially if
Yeah.
people are getting married
Later in life.
later in life. Oh,
Yeah.
they don't. They're not trying to. You know,
Right. It's like,
Have a kid.
nah, I'm gonna protect my money.
yeah, or the prenuptial agreements and all these type of
Yeah.
things. To each his own. Not knocking that
Right. Right.
way, but just
For us.
for us, and I think
Yeah.
especially early, to for the purpose of longevity and
Mm-hmm.
marriage, that was very important to have.
I like that you said it's for you all, but when you think about it and when you go back to God's principles, it is that no separation. It
Hmm.
is that division that does cause it, and we should, when, like you said, when we get married, you're as one. So
Right.
Mhm.
that means you're going to have godly principles on your money as well, and you're going to
Right.
act as one. And that's what's missing. And I'm guilty of that. After my first marriage, I went into this mode of, that's my money. I really didn't trust my new husband because I was still tainted by the old and whatnot. And I remember my pastor had to tell me, he said, "You don't trust your husband." And I'm like, "Yes, I do." It was like, "No, because you're one."
Hmm.
And so that was a difficult, because I was burnt the first time through finances. It
Hmm.
was hard for me to see that. But God had to come in and shift it. It's like, no, y'all are one, because
Hmm.
the enemy wants to continue to separate you. So I
Yeah.
like the fact that you said that from the beginning, it was one. And so that makes that difference.
Big difference.
And it also
Yeah.
makes a difference because we didn't have a whole lot. So I
Yeah.
was with him before he even became an engineer. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people are like, oh, an engineer, let me gravitate toward this is
Yeah.
way back before that even popped off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I flunked my first engineering class. Stuck with me after that.
But she stuck with you because she saw that vision. Going back to that vision, Celina, you had that vision. You had a vision of what you wanted your marriage to be like, right?
Yeah,
How important is that to for new wives or new couples? Should you have a vision for your marriage?
absolutely. Because that's like the
Mm-hmm.
guiding factor, especially in a biblical sense. When you go back to the
Mm-hmm.
word, we're looking at all those things that God says to help guide us submit to one another. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people that's like, oh, he just says for the women to submit. No, we're submitting to one another. He's the head of the household because he's looking to Christ to lead him, and then I'm looking to him because he's doing things that he's supposed to and being a respectable person to
Yeah.
submit to.
Right. Ooh, listen, y'all. If y'all are not tuned in, y'all need to, shame on you, because the Simpsons are throwing out these godly gems, just not gems, but godly gems on marriage, you guys. And if you're listening, take heed, because again, this couple, 28 years plus, and the godly principles that, and that's what it's all about. I don't care what the world is telling you now. You have to operate on God's principles. And they are dropping. They said no separation. You're as one. You have to have a vision. Submission. Ooh, y'all know that's now. Y'all
Okay,
know that word.
it's a tough one right there.
Mm-hmm.
And listen now.
Yeah.
Submission. Let's talk about that as a couple,
Mm.
as a godly couple. The submission. How is that? How does that play in your marriage?
Can I?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, and look, you got to think about it. Let's just to kind of nail the topic down. Let's think about it in our work environment and business environment.
Yeah.
There's always a chain of command, if you will. There's
Yeah.
always you usually answering to someone, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For a business to be successful. And it's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing in a marriage. Like it's got to be a flow of almost like a not a chain of command, like that, you know,
Yeah.
that rigid, but it should be a flow of decision making, a flow of respect. It
Yeah.
should be that way for it to be successful. Because if everybody think they the boss, just like in a
Right.
business work environment, that how the saying go, too many chiefs and not enough Indians, or vice versa.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's the same thing in a marriage. If both people think they're the boss, then they're going to start butting heads. You're going to say, well, I think we should do it this way, or I think we should do it this way. It's got
Yeah.
to be, it's got to be, yeah, there's going to be some mutual decisions, but there's
Right.
also going to be a final decision by, it should be, at some situation, got to be a final decision by, you got to make an executive decision, right? You hear that all.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got to be that way for things to flow and
Yeah.
for things to be successful. And like she said, for a man to earn that respect and that
Mm-hmm.
submission, you got to make sure that she has to trust that you're getting your
Mm.
your guidance and your knowledge, wisdom, and decision making ability from.
Yeah.
It's very comforting for her to know that I'm getting it
Mm.
from God versus I'm out on getting it from the streets or something like that.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
that's when the submission is difficult because she don't know where if that woman doesn't know where the man's getting his vision from or his guidance from,
Right.
it's like I'm gonna
Yeah. Yeah.
submit to you. So
Yeah.
that's
Because
some of the.
that word has caused a lot of separation in marriages
Mm-hmm,
Mhm.
mm-hmm,
because of the misinformation of it, and it has caused. I've literally witnessed people get into it about the word submission, and I'm just
mm-hmm,
like, yo, it's not difficult. It's
mm-hmm,
not difficult, at all. I love that. So listen, you're now you have your first child. You're navigating through your marriage.
mm-hmm,
You're just getting married. You're navigating. You're getting to your careers and whatnot. What is that journey? Now you're going into what your second and third child. You're
mm-hmm,
now building your family.
mm-hmm,
So, what was that like? How has that been?
mm-hmm,
It, for me, it's like a dream come true. Like this is what I've always wanted and always
Yeah.
dreamed about. We thought we were done to and through, but our
Okay.
third baby boy, he's like, "Hey, here I am. God has different plans," and we can't, of course, imagine life without him. But
Yeah.
those surprises along the way. Between our first and our second, I had a miscarriage, and that was
Okay.
something we had to navigate through. So our second baby, Jamel, is our rainbow baby, and
Oh.
he's the only one that was planned, really, because the
Okay.
first and the third, they were surprises.
Yeah.
You know how people have a stigma behind that.
Yeah.
He wasn't unwanted; he was just a
Right.
surprise.
Yeah.
So just flowing with our family, I
Yeah.
just loved every minute of it, being a mom and a wife and
Yeah.
the whole nine.
You don't find a lot of you don't find a lot of wives now. Well, you do. I'm gonna change that. You do, but people are starting to feel shame for wanting to for loving being a wife and a mother. Why is that? Why is that all of a sudden? Is that contributed to the to social media and what's going on with marriages or whatnot? Why is there a shame now with being a wife or a mother or even a husband and a father? Why do y'all think, what does that contribute to? I don't know if y'all have experienced that, but I know, and maybe it may be regional because here in Metro Atlanta area, everybody wants to be single and which is fine. I tell people if you want to be single, that's an amazing journey as well. But people are not loving the wife. I love being a wife. I'm not a mother. I love being an auntie. I'm the rich auntie. Okay. So parents of y'all, I'm gonna leave it to y'all, hands down. But the wife and husband, Why do you think there is some shame or the guilt that's associated with it all of a sudden?
Mhm. I think definitely because of this. I blame. I don't know if we can say names on your this
We
platform.
can say it's my platform.
Yeah, okay. I blame it on Megan Thee Stallion. I blame it on Cardi B and them. I blame it on Nicki Minaj and them because they just been portraying this I'm an independent woman, I don't need
Mm,
no man type of persona out there.
mm-hmm.
It's driven so hard that it's made, I think if women think if a woman may think if she gets married, then that takes away her independence, her
Mm.
ability to be independent, to be the boss, be that boss,
Yeah,
be that. And it's not. I mean, it's totally not the case.
right.
It's just from a male perspective, from what I see, my
Yeah,
opinion. Just
right.
for your viewers and your listeners out
Yeah.
there, my opinion. I think that's definitely a part of it.
Yeah, yeah. What'd you say, Selena?
I would agree with that, and it's
Yeah,
just an independent driven society. Go for yours, have
yeah,
your own, and it's been that way for a minute. Women are saying like,
yeah.
I don't need a man. I could do something on my own. Miss Independence, that whole song,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Friends, Beyonce and Friends. So
Yeah.
um, it's just a mentality. And the
Yeah.
influencers now, especially out there, get yours, get your coin, get your bag, all
Mm-hmm.
those
Mm-hmm.
things going on out there, and it's a reality in their minds, their perception that this is how
Yeah.
it needs to be. I don't need
Yeah.
a man. We always said that we are each other's soft place to land. So where is
Mm.
your soft place to land within
Yeah.
yourself? If you do have a man and you're feeling that kind of way, I need to be
Yeah.
independent. That's gonna, like you said earlier, that's gonna butt heads.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
have that piece of he's my soft place, I'm your soft place.
Hmm.
Yeah. I love that. I told somebody this when I remarried, when God blessed me to remarry the second time. I said, I have thrown away and given up the whole Miss Independent, I don't need a man black card. I gave that card back
Mm.
because it was ridiculous, because again, you do fall into that mode whereas you want a man, but at the same time, you don't want to allow a man to be a man. And so I remember one of my coaching sessions I had with a young lady, and I suggested, I said, you're gonna have to let your mate be who he is. He's the man. And it just turned into this whole thing. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, we gonna have to end this session because you know, and so we do. You're right. It's because the what society has put out there, and the mentality. I tell anybody, I love for my husband now to take charge. I want him to take out the trash and pump the gas and do all of these things. Not saying that I can't do it, but it's like, oh wow, it's nice to, sit back and enjoy and all of this. I love being that wife. And so you can see this on you all. You can see the enjoyment of your roles. I think at one point, society, we were, butting heads about the roles of
Hmm.
each person in our household.
Hmm.
How is that with you all as a marriage, in marriage, the roles that, for each? Are there, do y'all fuss about who does what?
And I would
Yeah.
say, and
Go ahead.
initially it was more traditional. I
Yeah.
I opted to stay home and take care of the kids for a minute, and
Okay.
I say for a minute, for like a couple years. Then I realized I
Yeah.
want to be a working mom.
Yeah.
That's something people struggle with too, but I
Yeah.
don't think I really did. But anyway, we decided traditional roles initially, and then when I went
Okay.
back to work, I would get off early enough. I'd make dinner for the family because you got to feed the littles, so
Yeah.
they starve, and
Yeah.
feed the husband. So at some point that switched when I started working more hours. He would
Okay.
more. He likes to cook. So that
Yeah.
wasn't a difficult thing. Like, oh no, I got to keep it because I'm the wife. I got to come home
Right.
to make all the dinners and whatnot. He's like,
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah. 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 That's how, I grew up in that traditional home. My mother was a homemaker, so she ran the home while my dad worked and whatnot. And I always thought that I would be like her, right? I just knew that I could handle five children and the husband. And when I sat back as I got older, I was like, oh my gosh, my mom was a blessing, because I don't know how she did it. I don't know. I don't like cooking, so God blessed me with a chef. So he knew, there's no I'm like, listen, that's the kitchen is yours. But the unity that you speak of, you can hear it. And so that unity, and I'm assuming it goes back to when you had your premarital counseling,
Exactly.
that godly counsel, because you're one.
Hmm.
Because you, like you said, you step back and say, hey, okay, I love being a working mom, and my husband doesn't mind cooking or whatnot. A lot of wives struggle with that. A
Hmm.
lot of wives, a lot of marriages struggle with that, being having the working mom and having the roles, switched and whatnot. But what I hear from you all both is that unity. There was no hesitation. It's like, okay, we step in. And
Hmm.
so there is no division. It goes back to that when you said there was no separation and
Yeah.
so forth.
Yeah.
Wow.
So roles, um, we, and one thing I too want to just again to give glory to God and also give honor where honor is due. We have really good pastors and
Yes.
teachers in our life. One,
Amen.
the late great, one of our pastors who's gone home to be with the Lord, he always would say, adjust and readjust.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
probably
Yes.
when this airs and people see that know us, they gonna know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Adjust and readjust, and so that's what it takes.
Yeah.
When life happens, life be lifing, as we say.
Yeah.
You have to make the adjustments. So role
Yeah.
again, just like in the workplace or anything else, you change
Mm-hmm.
roles, you change positions. Same thing in a marriage.
Mm-hmm.
If and so now fast forward to the empty nesting part. I
Yeah.
work from home, and she does not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who am I going to be sitting around here all day and have her come home and have to cook dinner, take out the trash, or
Mm-hmm.
or doing no.
Yeah. It's a
It,
teamwork. It's that teamwork.
mhm.
He,
Yeah.
he's always said he wants to preserve me. But when we talked about
Mm.
switching those roles, he wanted
Mm-hmm.
to preserve me so I don't get burnt out, doing
Mm.
those types of things. And we
Yeah.
have to stick to those traditional roles. If it's not working for us, then switch it
Yeah.
up. If it's not working for you, switch it up. What
Yeah.
makes sense, like you were saying,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be working 8 hours and come home and then slaving over the stove. I mean,
Yeah.
if I was able to do that physically and enjoy that every day, I would, but
Right.
that's not
Yeah.
reality. That's not,
Right, right. You're right. That's not going to happen. But it's good to hear that, because uh, people struggle with that because they feel like they have to continue something because it's traditional. It's
Mhm.
like, oh, I can't switch up. I don't know how to monitor and adjust. Like you said, adjust and readjust. You don't know how to do that. So that does, it hurt a lot of people. And so for you to hear you say that, I think that's going to free a lot of wives. That's going to free a lot of couples to say, hey, wait a minute. You mean to tell me it's okay that
Yes,
we can switch up? It's okay, you
very.
know?
Mhm.
I think moving forward, let's jump into the whole pandemic thing, because I think that was a major
Mhm.
adjustment for marriages
mhm.
Mhm.
across the globe. How was that for you all, the pandemic?
The pandemic, I think one thing we did during the pandemic is um, we made sure to, well, first of all, we had a good virtual church to stay in touch with. That was very
Yes.
important.
Yes.
Our pastor he's just amazing. He came up with these what they call Zoom fellowships.
Okay.
So we still have the men's meetings, the women's meetings. We have the
Yeah.
meetings online. He came up with this concept during the pandemic
Okay.
when we went virtual. So we was still able to stay plugged in. That's one
Okay. Yeah.
to God and to church and everything and to the Word.
Yeah.
That's one thing we did well during the pandemic. We Our kids were in and out of the
Okay.
home, so during the pandemic, so we We spent a lot of time, family time together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was cooking meals like all the time.
Yeah.
And one thing also that we learned from our pastor, I told you before,
Yeah.
for years and years and years, we've always sat down and had dinner together.
Mhm.
No
Mm.
phones, no, so nothing like that. Just sit down,
Wow.
talk amongst each other. How was your day? You know,
Yeah.
that type of thing. And when people come visit us and we do
Hmm.
that, they can't believe we do that still. we
Wow.
we sit down. Even now, we sit down and have dinner together.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
how was your day? How was your day? And it goes from there. You know.
Yeah.
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 So
So
we
that
just
communication is constant.
yeah,
You have
constant communication. Mm,
kept that communication up, no matter what people say, no
right.
matter what's going on. That communication, that one-on-one intimacy,
Mhm.
that's intimate time
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're having with your family.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Very
look.
intentional. Very
But
intentional.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, but that is a blessing because again, so many of us, with businesses and work and
Sure.
everything, it has taken over in our lives. So
Right.
when we do say, "Hey, let's put the phones down, let's turn off the devices," it's a foreign word now. People are like, "Wait a minute, I can't operate," and so now here we have this couple saying, "No, you can still do that." You
Hmm.
can still turn off the devices and have a conversation.
Right. Right. Exactly. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And our
Absolutely.
kids, and they when they come home, they look forward to dinner time. They look forward
Yeah.
to. They even say, "Hey, look, that's my seat. Like, get up my seat."
Oh,
So, hopefully they carry that on. And
yeah.
but definitely
Yeah.
look forward to that name, and that's also like you said, it's fostered their ability to communicate well, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
they don't,
Yeah.
they can put down the phone and have a conversation. That's also very important.
Yeah. Because we lost the art of communication.
Exactly.
For
Yes.
sure.
We have lost the art of communication.
Mhm.
One thing, the pandemic had its ups and downs, but one thing I as a former educator, I saw how it broke up the human communication.
Mhm.
And that broke my heart because I'm like, now we are so engrossed in our devices and
Mhm.
Mhm.
we're doing everything else except for talking with each other. So
Mhm.
it's difficult. It's challenging for a lot of people. However, I feel like we can get back
Mhm.
to that. And just to have to hear
Mhm.
you both say that, that tells people, listen, this can be done. We can
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can sit down and have dinner and have a conversation. There's a lot to
exactly.
talk about.
Maybe
Before the go ahead.
I'm sorry. Maybe it's not every night, but maybe pick a night. Pick
Right.
the
Yeah.
week. To do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Something
Be
like that.
intentional about that.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Before the pandemic, I apologize for skipping over, but being that empty nester, because you were empty nesters before the pandemic, right? Or was it going into the pandemic?
Just going into
Going
the
into
pandemic.
it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Mhm.
you had changes.
Mhm.
You had some major changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Major.
How was that journey? You had becoming an empty nester,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and now going into the pandemic. So now it's back to the two of you.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was good because we had the opportunity, to launch our kids off to college, which was
Yeah.
really cool. And all of them had gone through that process. I think at that time, only our oldest was there for a little bit because he had gotten married
Okay.
like a couple of years after. But I enjoyed
Okay.
the academic process because I'm an introvert and
Yeah.
I love spending time with him. He's super funny. He
Yeah.
makes me laughing, and I love that whole process.
Yeah.
And um, before that, we knew that we needed to make some adjustments because he's working upstairs, I'm working downstairs with the kiddos, and
Yeah.
to make sure our spaces were separate because he's on Zoom, I'm on Zoom with the kids at
Yeah.
school, and so we had to navigate that whole thing. And I thought we did it well. I
Yeah.
thought we did a good job coming through that. And
Yeah.
the kids adjusting and readjusting, going back to that topic, I
Mhm.
I remember that from when we met, we started
Mhm.
in as teenagers. So we
Yeah.
have to adjust through the teenage years, our 20s, our 30s, our
Yeah.
40s, and now we're in our 50s. So we would
Yeah.
always have date nights. Even
Mm,
prior to the pandemic for years and years, because we were there before the kids got there. So we have to
yeah.
maintain that. So we would have date nights, and at least we try to do at least once a month, but
Okay.
that's how we would maintain with us. So the kids
Mm,
are launched, but we're still connected.
yeah. Yeah. How important are the date nights? How important? Because you said that key word, and that flies over a lot of folks' heads, especially because they feel like, oh, we married, we know each other now, we're good. But you said the key thing, date nights.
Hmm.
How important is that for a marriage?
Well, before you speak, in my mind, whatever you did to get them, you should be continually doing that to keep them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
You're like, okay, yeah, right.
No, I think that's true. And so, for example, it's a chance for uh, a husband, like the concept of a date night is a
Mm-hmm.
chance, for example, for a husband to treat your woman like a queen she is.
Yeah.
Opening the doors, car doors, taking
Yeah.
her to dinner, pulling out her chair, making her feel special
Yeah.
is your chance to do that.
Yeah.
Because in the hustle and bustle of life, especially our kids and that type of thing, you don't have that opportunity to always do that. So
Mm.
you separate, you go on a date night, then that's your opportunity to kind of reconnect, if you will, and
Yeah.
establish, be able to treat your woman as a man. I'm speaking from a male perspective,
Yeah.
to treat your woman like a queen,
Yeah.
and she feels special, and then that that feeling doesn't get lost in the
Mm.
everyday life. So that's why it's important to go on those date nights so that you can
Mm-hmm.
incorporate, like she said, some of those things that attracted you to each other in the first place.
Yeah.
Remind yourself of those things that attracted you to this person. Uh,
Yeah.
that's the concept of a date night, especially when you get married. And so it's
Mm.
so very important to, it's like a reconnect or ability
Yeah.
to rekindle those feelings that brought you together in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do it on
Yeah.
a consistent basis, however frequent or not frequent it is, but you should do it,
Yeah.
you know.
What
And
would be your suggestion on the number of date nights? I know you mentioned once a month, or how often. What would be your advice for married couples, especially over the now it's 7 years plus people being married? What would be your suggested amount?
I would say ideally twice a month. Ideally,
Okay.
if
Yeah.
you could do more, that's great. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
ideally twice a month,
Yeah.
of course, it's probably easier said than done in a lot
Yeah.
of cases.
Mhm.
And also, just to because I don't know who's watching. A date night don't mean it has to be some expensive candlelight dinner on the beach somewhere, or
Yeah.
it could just be going out. It could be, I don't know, going for a walk. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to hit the pocket.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah.
Just somewhere where you can be alone, be able to talk, be able to
Yeah.
communicate and do those things. So I don't want your listeners and viewers to think, oh, I can't afford to do it, or whatever the case
Yeah.
may be. It doesn't have to be all extravagant every time.
No,
Yeah. Yeah.
we've
Eh,
even have gone. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
We have even gone walk to the mailbox because our mailbox is like a block away. So we
Okay.
walk down the street holding hands, going to the mailbox, and come back with the mail. Just simple things, you
Just
know.
simple things. See, I like that.
Mhm.
I like that because we overthink. My husband's one, he would overthink on date night. He'd be like, "What you want to do? Where you want to go?" And I just be like, you know what? We could just sit here and watch TV. It's
Mhm.
cool. Like you said, the simple things, because it's that intentional time that you're
Mhm.
telling your mate that, listen, this is your time. This is our time. So I like that, and I hope the listeners understand. Like you said, you don't have to go out of pocket. You don't have to spend all of this money and whatnot. It's just being intentional about your time spending together.
Absolutely.
I
Mhm.
love that. Y'all hit on some gems. I listen. We I I'm not shocked because, again, when you have that godly foundation,
Yeah.
it makes sense. It
Right.
makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. In the world, the times that we are living in, this is what marriage looks like.
Mm-hmm.
This is what marriage looks like. And I love the fact that again that you're talking about these things, the pandemic. And you said that it was you enjoyed it in a sense, like because you all again, because your vision and because the fact that you took delight in what God ordained, that makes a big difference because you
Mm-hmm.
hear so many people say, oh, marriage is hard, marriage is tough, and it's all of these negative things.
Mhm.
But when you hear people, couples like you all, and you're like, no, marriage is enjoyable. What do you mean? Like, how do you what do you say to people like that, to say no, marriage is not bad, you're gonna encounter some things, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not. What do you say what encouragement can you give to other couples out there?
Mm. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, adjusting because
Mm-hmm.
what I liked as a 20-year-old may not be
Mm-hmm.
what I like as a 50-year-old. And
Yes.
your partner needs to adjust to that. It's not
Yeah.
anything negative. Like
Right.
now I'm going through menopause. He just has to adjust it. The covers are on, the covers are off,
Yeah.
the covers are on, the covers
Right.
just adjust it and realize that
Yeah.
we're humans and we go through
Yeah.
things. And it's okay that okay, for example, I might like vanilla when I was younger. Now I don't like vanilla. And if you bring me vanilla, don't get salty when I'm like,
Right.
"Mm,
I want
I like
chocolate.
chocolate now."
So wait a minute. You mean we can't get an attitude? Why you ain't bring me that? We can't do that. We're
No.
not. Okay, we're not supposed to do that. Okay, take a note. All right.
Gently remind, like, honey, remember vanilla's not my thing right now.
Right. But
Yeah.
it goes back to that honest communication, again, like you said, adjusting to it. Because what I liked at 25, I don't like right now at 52,
Mm-hmm.
like you said. And that's so important for people to understand. I think many times our marriages get stagnant because
Mm-hmm.
we're still living when we got married the
Right.
first,
Absolutely.
first decade or so,
Very true. Very
when
true.
we're in our 20s and 30s and we're expecting each other, we're expecting to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
But we've had a whole pandemic that changed us. We've
Mm-hmm.
had life trials and tribulations that have changed us and
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. And so, what you're saying is that you've communicated with each other over these changes
Yes.
and whatnot. You kept each other informed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a process. Because, for
yeah.
example, like back in the day, he wouldn't talk, he wouldn't communicate. If something was wrong, what's wrong, honey? Nothing.
Mm,
Just shut down. So
mm.
it's that process of getting through that and learning. I am your soft place to land. So if
I
something's
love that.
actually wrong, let me in. I can
Yeah,
read your mind. We don't have telepathic abilities.
yeah.
So let me in. Let me know. And that's been a process as well. So he's really awesome at communicating now, and
Okay.
I think that's how we flow, is just letting each other know.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, y'all are amazing, amazing. Listen, we are I just adore you two.
Thank you.
Because again, the gems that you dropped, and it's not a shocker
Mm-hmm.
because again, you have that foundation
Right.
and the unity, I and again, that's what we need to see. We need to see the unity in marriages. And these times, when you're celebrating people with 25 years, 28 years or whatnot, that lets you know, listen, y'all been on this, y'all are experts,
Mm-hmm.
y'all know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
so it's working.
Yeah.
What would be, before we close out, what advice
Mm-hmm.
would you like to give to other marriages, other couples? What would
Mm-hmm.
you say, even if you know there are people who are ready to give in the towel even after being 28 years and so
Mhm.
forth? What do you say to those couples,
Mm-hmm.
at this juncture of their life? Can marriages be restored? Can there be healing? Can you do this thing again?
Mhm.
What do you tell people, or what advice do you give to other couples?
Mhm. For I would say for people is two or three points. For people who are aspiring to be married, there's a different message, right? To people
Yeah,
who are already married. So the
yeah,
people who are aspiring to be married, again, don't like we were talking about. Don't be afraid to be married. Don't be
yeah.
afraid to gain a partner
Mm,
in life. Don't be afraid of that. It's if done correctly and with done with the right principles,
yeah.
it's like a team. Now you know you can God says one can put how does the scripture go? One
One
can
could put a thousand
the
to flight,
flight
two could put 10,000.
10,000 to flight, right? So
Yeah,
having a team is two is better than one basically.
yeah,
And so don't be afraid to gain a partner. For the people who are married, and also to not to be churchy, but people just having God as the center and you know
yeah.
having a God as the center in your marriage is so important. It's so important. So I can't stress
Yes.
it enough. Without the godly counsel and the
Mm-hmm.
godly wisdom that we've attained over these 28 years, we
Mm-hmm.
definitely would not be married still
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's just really difficult. So
yeah,
so that helps to maintain. It really helps. So and then to the people who's been married or who are married, to not throw in the towel.
yeah.
I would say one thing we've learned too, not to be afraid to ask for help,
Mhm.
not
Mm.
to ask for to get counseling uh,
Yeah,
from elsewhere,
yeah.
seeking counsel from, let's say it's a couple who to what I'm trying to say is make sure you're seeking counsel from somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Seasoned.
Yeah, yeah,
Couple or a good counselor with a good track record or something like that.
yeah.
Don't go looking to your
Unmarried friends.
partners and other people for advice.
Ooh, ooh. Can y'all say that again?
Don't go to the streets for your advice.
Especially unmarried people for
Married people telling
Yes,
you to be married,
yes.
or
Ooh.
necessarily not to, or the right social media platforms like this
Mm-hmm.
is a great
Mm-hmm.
place to come and just get hear
Yeah,
from people.
hmm
yeah,
I would say so. Don't be afraid to seek help or ask for help
yeah,
as an already established couple. I think that's important.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and then communication is the key.
for sure.
yeah,
Number one
yeah.
is communication, and then using certain and don't be afraid to talk about some of the difficult topics like we talked about earlier.
Mm.
Don't be afraid to communicate on those things. So
Yeah,
and
yeah,
those things help tremendously.
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. For me, I would say prior to getting married, prepare yourself. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I am under the mindset that another person doesn't complete you, they complement you. Because you're not a half of a person coming together. You're a whole person coming with another whole person
Yeah,
to complement you, not complete you.
yeah,
That's what I would say for young people or anybody looking to get married. And for people that
yeah.
are married, don't assume anything.
Mm.
Ask the question, benefit of the doubt, give the person benefit of the doubt because I would say if he says something that's like off or I feel offended by, I would
Mm-hmm.
ask him, what did you mean by that? Or
Yeah,
I heard it this way. Is that
yeah.
how you were saying it? And sometimes it's like, what, Selena? You got that so wrong. And put it in your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, just continue to communicate and have balance. Like I have hobbies, he has hobbies, but we have
Yeah.
together hobbies.
Okay,
Got
okay.
cooking, and always kiss each other goodnight. Don't let the sun go
Oh,
down on your wrath
yeah.
because we're in this together. Yeah, I might be mad at you, but
Right,
we're not
right,
like World War III.
right.
Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah,
be together. We're gonna work it out.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. It is, it just brings me joy because again, uh I'm very responsible. I have to be very responsible for what God has given me in the platforms and my voice and so forth. And again, one thing I wanted to make sure that I brought to attention was the fact of marriages and
Mhm.
godly marriages, because we don't see this often. All of this unsolicited worldly vice is taken over, and it's like, no, 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 no. God
Mhm.
created us to be together. God created marriages. And so what better way to celebrate him and honor him is to bring on godly couples like yourself. I love it.
So one more thing I forgot to
Yeah,
add.
go ahead.
There are three things that we don't do. We don't say always, we don't say
Mm,
never, and we don't use the word divorce. It's like you always
mm,
do that, and that's when people take offense. I don't always do that. I did such and such last week or the week before, or you never do that. I did this the other day for you. I do that all the time. So that gets people on fire when you tell them things that
mm,
they feel that they are contributing. You tell them they
mm-hmm.
never do that or they always do that.
Wow, interesting. So that's a resource tool that you both agree to use on
Hmm.
Yeah,
use in your conversation.
because those
Yeah.
words are triggers.
Oh yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. Like what you mean? I did that such and such.
yeah,
Hmm.
I like that. I like that. Oh wow. We listen, we're gonna have to do a part two because y'all got some more. Y'all got some more. What is next for the both of you all?
Mm,
What
that's
is next after
good
this
question.
journey? You're now empty nesters. You're
Hmm.
winding down in your careers. What's next for you?
Good question. I think we've talked about that. Me, my when and then what I how I answered her was legacy, establishing legacy. Now we have
Hmm.
grandchildren. We have one granddaughter, one on the way actually.
Oh wow, expanded the family.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so just legacy for me is
Yeah,
establishing a legacy,
yeah,
um, and continuing to build um, with her for that purpose, uh,
yeah,
to establish that legacy and enjoy our expansion.
yeah,
Enjoy
yeah,
expansion, and then continue to for us to explore.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
just,
yeah,
take trips. Enjoy
Hmm.
yeah,
enjoy things. We involved in a lot of community activities, community service
yeah,
activities, stuff like that. Just just staying busy.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Just
so,
building,
so
growing old together,
yeah,
continuing to communicate well,
yeah.
and just enjoying each other's company. I want to be a light, encourage other
Hmm.
people. I've heard this saying, be the CEO of your family, the chief encouragement officer.
Yeah,
Just continue
yeah.
to be encouraging one another, learning one another. I feel
Mm.
like I have a high school diploma on Mr. James Simpson. I want to get to masters and like PhD level.
Yeah.
We've been together so long. I'm always learning something new. You
that's good.
always,
Yeah.
you always, always.
I love it. So I do have to ask you this. You have one grandchild. Who spoils it? Do our grandparents, do they say, how y'all treat the children different from the grandchildren?
Yeah,
Did y'all do that? Have y'all done that?
they live out of state,
Yeah,
so
it's a
we're
little
not.
bit.
It's
Oh,
difficult,
okay.
but definitely, I would say she still, is the one who's always sending things and
Yeah.
trying to bless our granddaughter. So
Yeah.
definitely, I'm sure if we lived in the same space, I'm sure she'd be the one.
The really spoils for it,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Well, that is such a blessing. And I look forward to God just enlarging your territory, continuing to enlarge your territory. And I just really thank you so much for just taking out your time um, to share. It's all about kingdom building,
Mhm.
and you shared. And I really, from the depths of my heart, thank you so much for doing that. You dropped some things that I'm like, okay, let me go back and let me make sure I'm doing this right, especially with the what you say, it's a process, and it's a soft place to land. And those are things that you want to think about, as you build your home, because like you
Mhm.
said, you're a unit, you're together, you're one. And
Mhm.
I could dig the whole financial piece too. I heard you, I wrote it down. So I'm gonna make some adjustments. So I'm gonna make some adjustments. I'm gonna do that. because when God says it, again, he uses you, you're a vessel to other couples and so forth. So I really appreciate you. My audience appreciates you.
Mhm.
And we just thank you so much for sharing, for stopping by. And I cannot wait to talk to you all again, because I definitely want to have you again in the near future, and so forth. So from us to you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
My
And
pleasure.
out there in the audience of TMR, thank you so much for joining us. And again, if you did not gain anything, I don't know what to tell you. Just shame on you, honestly, because they taught what is needed. They shared what is needed. And we have to get back to the basics. I know you said earlier you didn't want to sound too churchy. It's nothing churchy. It's what God is and what
Mhm.
it's supposed to be. And this is what you shared. Both of you shared with us the godly principles. We have got to get back to the basics,
Right.
because you're a living testimony of what God is doing for marriages and what God has done for marriages
Mhm.
and so forth. So I thank you so much for sharing. I wish you the many, many blessings, marital blessings. Oh my goodness. I just cannot wait to continue to watch your journey. It is a beautiful journey. So thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Thank you for
welcome.
having
Thanks for
us.
having us. Yes.
And for you all, do not forget to subscribe and like the mailroom messages from him and the couples edition messages from them. And again, do not miss this episode. Make sure you love it, you like it, you share it, and get your notes. What I tell you, get your notes and take notes of these gems that they dropped. The Simpsons. You don't want to miss this one. I guarantee you. So until next time, you guys, make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. We are here. Messages from them, the couples edition. And we're out. Peace.